Whoa.
Yeah, it's kind of bright.
Yeah.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, I'm having a really good time.
I'm really excited to see you.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here in Los Angeles, at the Troubadour especially, because it's a great room. I love it.
So, are you like staying in Los Angeles currently, or?
Not currently, but I have stayed here quite a lot. I've had, you know, I do kind of sometimes like 3-month stints. I think it's been about 6 months of last year they're here.
Yeah,
coming and going.
That's what I was curious about, because I know you were doing like DJ nights. Like,
that's right.
Like in Rosemead of all places. And stuff.
Yeah. I enjoyed it too. I don't, you know, I did a little bit in England, not much, but I quite enjoyed it. But yeah, it's like a bit like a hometown gig for me now. This. Yeah.
So, like, my first question is, why the Chameleon box? Why are you going by that name?
Well, because I wanted to distinguish it from. It was out of respect for Dave and Reg. They decided that, you know, they'd put enough time in. Reg's got a family. Dave wanted to do something else, so it was kind of out of respect for them, really, because they actually left the band, you know. So out of deference, you know, because we've been together a long time and known each other a long time. I put Vox at the end of it. Vox is me.
Yeah.
I am Vox. So we're still Chameleons as far as I'm concerned, but we put the Vox at the end of it just to set it apart from, you know, with the next generation, like Star Trek.
Oh, okay, I get it. Did you ever have like a part-time job aside from like playing music? Like when you were doing the Chameleons, did you ever, or any of the other bands that followed? Was it just making music?
Dave was, in the beginning, Dave was a graphic artist who worked for a graphic advertising agency. But I was at college. I was going to do drama, and I was kind of midway through the preparation of putting in an application at Manchester Polytechnic to do drama, because they have, you know, they still have an amazing drama department there. There's like a lot of people have come through it over the years, and I wanted to do that, and that's what I was doing. And then when we got the John Peel session, after the John Peel session, when everything started to kind of get like crazy, I had to make a choice, you know. So I dropped out of college. Dave was a graphic artist. I can't remember what John was doing. I'm not sure if John had the job or not. But once we committed to the group, that was it. You know, that was all we did. You know. And then I had a little spate in the 90s where I stepped out of music, and I was working for Manchester City Football Club, who I support. And I was working for them in a managerial capacity for a couple of years, but it wasn't for me really. You know, the 9 till 5. I bought a house, a Mercedes, and all that bullshit, and it was just like destroying me. So that was my one and only concession to 9 till 5. You know, honest work.
So when you first started doing music, did you set out to accomplish anything?
Yeah, we wanted to be on John Peel's radio show. That was it. That was the only motivation for going down there and writing to him and stuff, was just to be on his show. We were so naive, we didn't really know. Other than that we were fans of the show, we used to listen to it every night. You know, like, I think he was on 4 nights a week, Mondays to Thursday. So we just wanted to be on that. You know, it was like, that was a big deal for us. And then we got the session, and our lives changed literally. I mean, literally overnight. The phone rang the next day. That was Virgin phoned us and came to see us and do a show in Manchester, or Bury actually, and our lives completely changed, and we were just trying to keep up with events after that. You know, we were just playing catch up the whole time. We were kind of like, what, who, what, Steve Lillywhite, who, what, you know, it was one of those.
The John Peel session, did you have an album that came after that? I think
it was quite a long time after that actually, because we did a single first with Lillywhite, and it was a real struggle getting them to release it. We did a single called In Shreds, which we thought was just, you know, awesome. You know, it's like it's still my favourite Chameleons record, actual, you know, record. But they hated it. You know, there was like, you know, they wanted a chart record. So there was a lot of shenanigans following that. You know, they were kind of like, well, what have we got here exactly? So we didn't do the album until we got away from that and went with an independent label in London, which was about that. So that took about a year to for an album to materialise. But in the meantime we were playing lots of shows and in mainland Europe and in England, so we were getting a build. You know, the audience was building. You know, so speculations.
I was curious, like, so why do you have so many? You have like so many singles and EPs, but like very little recorded albums. Only 3 albums, tons of singles. Why did that come about?
Because I'll tell you exactly why that was. It was because the longer we were in the industry, the more it seemed that things were getting in the way of making the music. You know, we found ourselves kind of being pushed to do lots of things that had very little to do with music. You know. And getting the space and the time to actually write it and stuff, you know, was and then we had, you know, we just seemed to get plagued with you know, there always seemed to be some like major thing going on that was stopping us from making the music, and that so that's it resulted in, you know, that's why there's only 3 studio albums. I think we'd have been, it wasn't that we weren't prolific, it was just that we couldn't find the time and the space to do it. You know, we always like having fights with record labels and, you know, falling out and stuff.
Jump outside the ropes from the ground.
In your opinion, what's the hardest thing about being in a band?
Being in this band is keeping it going, you know, because we do what we do with purely independently, and some of that was by choice. I mean, for a long time I just had enough of the industry really, and the way it worked and what you had to kind of go through. I wanted, you know, and I was actually making, you know, suddenly when I started doing it myself, you know, and I formed a record label and I was on my solo stuff, you know, I actually started making a living, which for the first time. So, but the hardest thing is now is like keeping it going. I mean, something on this scale, you know, you're doing a national tour of the US without, you know, without a record label, without established music agents and all that stuff. You know,
do you have a manager at least?
Yeah, well, Tony Skinkis, who's been with us, he was with Chameleons right from the get-go. I mean, he drove the van to the first Peel session and stuff, and he's backing involved, and he's like kind of looking after us. And then between us, you know, we kind of set it up. But you know, you don't always have a spare 30 grand to go out and tour the United States. So I'm kind of hoping that people will recognise that it's more than just you know, a tribute thing. It's, you know, it's just as relevant and just as vital. We want to make a new record. We want to get the resources together. And we've got the resources to record and stuff. I'm hoping that'll happen next year. But the hardest thing is like keeping it all going, you know, because and the fact that, you know, some of the guys, like, once, you know, they have to do other things when we're not physically working. They have to do other things, so getting everyone together can be a bit problematic, you know, because they're scattered around, you know.
How long are you planning on touring, like this tour right now?
This tour right now takes in about 20. I think it's about 20 cities.
All US?
Yeah, we're going to Germany when we get back to Europe, and then we round off the year with a gig in London and some couple of Christmas shows in Manchester. I mean, we didn't really plan it. It was just, it was not, you know, we didn't plan to be working this much. I mean, I've worked, you know, first I was working with American musicians for a while for logistical reasons, which was great fun, you know. It was like, I was meant I could come and play here and not worry about the logistics of getting everyone across, but I really wanted to work with my own band, you know, and they worked really hard, and they'd never, you know, excited, and it was good motivation for them, you know. So I'm glad that we've been able to do that, you know. But things, it just snowballed, and we're just getting, you know, work left, right, and centre. And so much so that, again, we're in that situation where we need. Hey, man. What's up? All right. We're in that situation where we're going to have to create some time and space to do something new, because we're just working all the time. And that next year, already the calendar's like really filling up. You know, there's talk of, you know. We're doing Primavera next year for Spain. We're supposed to be there's talk of us going to South America, there's talk of us going to Australia. So it's like, it's all kind of snowballing. So we just need to make the space to, you know, I'd like to do some new tunes with them, you know.
So what inspires you to keep playing music?
I think it's just the thrill that I get from playing with these guys, and how relevant it seems. The music seems more relevant now than when we did it, and it was like at the time we felt, you know, people felt generally, our audience felt we were a relevant band. The media don't feel that way, you know what I mean? The enemy dismisses us as being irrelevant, which I find insane, really. You know, you do a song like A Person's Unsafe Anywhere these days, in the wake of like some of the worst rioting we've seen in England in years, and they say we're not relevant. I don't get it, but it's the relevancy of it. In fact, I think that the music was really meant for now. I think this was the time Chameleons music was meant for, and I think that reflects because we're getting a lot of younger people coming to see us now that are getting into it, which surprises me. You know, people from early 20s, and I even got a couple of kids starting their first bands. They're like 16. They're writing to me like really into the Chameleons. So that's what I think does it really. I think if I felt it was irrelevant, I was just doing it for some perfunctory reason. I really wouldn't bother. And we don't do material that isn't relevant. If it isn't relevant, I don't sing it. I don't want to play it.
Yeah.
But it's just that I've always loved music, and I still do. It's the only thing that I ever really love doing. So I want to do it for as long as I can.
Although you guys are like a goth band, or I think you're affiliated with goth music, you never really seem to fit the style.
Well, you know what? We played Whitby Goth Weekend like the other week, and it was great fun and everything. We had a really good time. They were brilliant. But we're not a goth band, and I'm saying to Tony, we're not a goth band. I know. But we do, we have got, the sways of that audience really dig what we do, and that's fine, But when we were doing that music, I was writing that music, there was no such thing. There was really no such thing. It wasn't, we were, I think, into our second album before we started playing with, we did a gig with Sisters of Mercy and Dance Society, and it's really started to kind of like stem from that. Before that, you had the Banshees and the Birthday Party. I don't think the Birthday Party were a goth band either. So, there was no goth scene. There was certainly no cultural fashion thing. There was nothing like that.
Yeah.
I went through a period of depression, and I wasn't making much music when I was in Hamburg.
Yeah, I was gonna say there was a time period, right, where you were maybe 5 or 6 years of not making music.
That's right. Yeah. I didn't realize. You don't realize you're depressed. You don't sit there and I'm so depressed. It doesn't work that way. You don't really know until you look back on it and go like, oh my God, how could I get like that? But then I was writing the book, so the book got me. I had something to focus on.
Is that what you did during that time period?
Yeah. Well, my father was diagnosed with a terminal illness, so I was motivated then to finish and write and finish the book in time to give it to him, which I did. He loved it. Like he said to me, if I'd known back then what you were dealing with, I would have done. He was like, you did. So my father was like, that was a motivation for that. But I was in a real funk for a long time.
Was he supportive of your career choice?
Yeah, he was. Not initially, he wasn't. Initially, my father was a footballer. He played for Man United, so he wanted me to follow in that vein, and I was just all I wanted to do was listen to the Beatles and stuff. So, and he kind of was a bit perplexed. But once he got a record in his hand. And she actually, I said, hey, Dad, here's our single, and he just went, whoa, he was immensely supportive, he was extremely proud, because he'd have total strangers, he'd play, because my dad did what he always did, and he'll go to a certain place, certain bar, meet friends, and sit there, and then people got to know who he was, and they'd come up to him, complete strangers going, oh, you're mad, we love what he does, and he's like, wow, so... Hey, sorry, I was listening to the motorcycle. Thank you very much, man. Thank you. Yeah, so he was supportive, yeah. But no, I got out of that. 2 years ago, I kind of just went, you know what? Nobody's going to help. I'm going to get myself out of this rut, So I left Hamburg, and then ever since I've been fine. I still go back there, I love it, but it was just it wasn't for me. The whole lifestyle, I found it was dragging me down, and I wasn't working, I wasn't being creative. So if anything makes me unhappy, it's those kind of funks where I'm not feeling particularly creative and I'm not feeling particularly awake. I like to be awake, and that's what I like about coming to the United States, because when I come here, it really wakens me up. I really feel aware to a higher extent than
So any UFO sightings lately?
No, not lately. No.
I was curious if that was true or not. Like when I heard the interview today about the UFO sightings, I wasn't sure if that was like a real or somebody just faked that.
What was that?
It was for a radio station. Somebody had asked you about the UFO sightings.
Right. I have seen them. Yeah, I've had a couple of experiences that, you know. And when I was a kid, I used to kind of hang out at the airport. I was fascinated by airplanes. We used to go, a few of us, a bunch of us, even Dean, who I've now still sold with. We used to all go to the airport to watch the planes coming in and out all times of day and night. So I was kind of familiar, you know, with that kind of thing. And this one, the weirdest one, I just can't explain it. It's broad daylight. Came out of the clouds at a 45-degree angle like this, righted itself stationary on its axis. Yeah, did a 360-degree barrel roll, so there was a light on it that went down and then round and then up again. Turned on its axis 90 degrees and shot off in seconds over the. That was in 1974.
And this was in England, I assume?
Yeah, it was in England. Yeah. And ever since, that's what sparked my interest in the subject, you know. And I've seen a few things, yeah. But not lately. But then I don't get much chance to have, you know, to look.
Yeah, you're so busy. Like,
and when you're somewhere. There's so much light pollution now, anyway.
Yeah.
But you know, I love a night sky. It's my favourite thing. Last year I drove across the band that are rolling tonight, Sleep Mask, because Andrew Stetic, he was in the US Chameleons last year, and we drove across country together with Justin, and we were by Monument Valley, and it was like absolutely like brilliant. The Milky Way, we had a meteor shower, we had lightning in the distance. No UFOs though. I think the meaning of life is to evolve to higher and higher levels of consciousness. That's the meaning of life. That's what it's all about. To evolve